target. That is going to be the ace. UP demand 16 and 7. Will they be able to finish this? Oh,
Here in the hands of JPL. They are set to finish this game. Let's see.
Good day to all. Today is the semifinals for the Lenovo LCL Spring Term Challenge. What you know, we will be your casters for the first match. I am Vulcan, and joining with me is Arctic.
What's up, what's up? And
So
yeah.
wow, Arctic, 48 teams, down to 4.
And yeah, it's come to this very moment right here. All these 4 teams really want that opportunity to make it as the champion of the 2017 summer term. And you know, it's very interesting. I'm really hyped to find out who will be succeeding TIP in taking that throne right there.
Yeah, to all our viewers out there, what an exciting day it is. Of course, you have your, let's say, your crowd favorites. I mean, support your own school. And going on to the schedule, we do have a very exciting best of 5 series. The first match would be UC University of the Cordilleras against TUP Technological University of the Philippines.
Oh yeah, and you know, I'm really happy that teams coming from the North Luzon Conference as well as Visayas for JBL, you know, they've really been showing up because a lot of people have been pegging the Metro West, Metro East teams as the strongest. So clearly, these teams from the other regions not to underestimate.
Yeah, it's the North versus the Metro West. I mean, in my opinion, TUP, I tend to really confuse between TUP and TIP, in my opinion, but knowing how Asidia played throughout the group stages, phenomenal. I mean, in the top lane, most of the time when he plays in the top lane, you have to expect he will be the snowballer in that lane and carry his team. But as the interview video, I've actually watched the interview video, and I hope you did too, Arctic.
Yeah, those were I really like
the subtle aggression they did.
Yeah.
So,
man, oh man.
They said like, we don't, and on mob side for UC, he did say that I can take on Asidia, one of the players in the Piltover's finest, because of my comfort picks. Let's see how it plays out onto the draft.
Yeah, that's a very courageous thing to say indeed. Yeah, let's go ahead and check out the bans first. So, coming from Technological University of the Philippines, so it looks like they'll be banning out actually a lot of diversity. Kled gonna be banned out from mob, so yeah, I mean, no surprise there. Kled is actually a very versatile champion. Even though you might bully him in lane, that utility from the charge gives a whole lot. And then at the same time, Elise as well, good respect for Cry, and Thresh as well from Hong. Because if I'm going to pick one player from University of the Cordilleras, who is really efficient, definitely Hong. He's had a great time during the Interconference Series. Still, I'm expecting great things from him going into the semifinals right now. And for the bands of University of Cordilleras, just a quick run through. It's going to be the Ari, Darius, and Zach. So very diverse as well.
So I can see that focus ban on the top lane in a way. Subtle bans coming from UC and TUP side. They actually banned their own champion, the Kled. So pretty in a way that they're going to be baiting out the drafting for a while. Yeah. But to add what you said about Hong, I mean, Hong likes to play his burst champion supports, while Mr. N is more utility. Looking at the way he plays Karma, Lulu, Nami,
oh yeah,
that's mostly, in a way there's burst, but utility is the better choice for Mr. N. Whereas Hong, what can you say about him? More on burst, right?
More, well, not just burst, but in general, he's just so flexible. Like he's exhibited an excellent Thresh. Like he could play these tanky champions like Thresh, and then he could easily transition way the opposite and go like for a really bursty Zyra, like you did mention. Because I'm actually not as surprised that you mentioned the burst champions, because when you think Hong, I keep on going back to those excellent Zyra plays that he's made during the Interconference Series. I'm such a fan, to be honest. But yeah, let's go ahead and check out the second rotation of bans here. So Zyra and Malzahar, so very heavy bans onto a lot of respect for Hong actually. And then Renekton and Ivern. So
wow.
For Chan and Asidia, I love how UC did their homework, because these are clearly champions that, if you know Chan and Asidia from the Piltover's Finest series, if you follow them, these are champions that they've used to much efficiency. So Darius, Zach, Renekton, Ivern, signature champions that they've used on their Piltover's Finest team, not just the casual.
And also, I mean, we're going to be seeing TUP Asidia on that Sejuani, and it's also a famous pick in the PGS where we did see JLC perform well. And to add to that, I mean, Asidia did show himself in the Phil's Over Finals. That shows what kind of caliber that player is entering the semifinals in the LCL. But for Mob's side, I wonder if this is his comfort pick. He did pick up the Rumble top against a Fizz top.
That's going to be interesting. AP versus AP, both dealing pretty good damage. So yeah, we'll just have to see how this transitions later on, as this is a very interesting, very explosive game one right off the bat.
I mean, match one, expect that this is the best of the best, moving on to top four teams. So to our viewers out there, we will be joining the rift pretty shortly, but let's see the angle of the players entering this match one.
Siguro yung magandang naiwan ko sa TUP is yung magkaroon ng magandang scene sa esports.
Christian Fabroa was my former student in computer programming. He approaches me to adopt the team in my organization for them to be able to join the competition in LoL.
Ginamitan ko siya ng kapal ng mukha. Hindi naman, ganun. Kasi nahihiya ako kay ma'am na mag-approach sa kanya kasi syempre mag-approach sa isang bagay na hindi pa alam ni ma'am.
I've been playing games talaga since I was in college. Hindi pa siya ganun kayang i-adapt ng industriya ng academics because feeling nila nagiging bad influensya for the students. But me myself, dahil nga I already encountered those things, and it's a strategic way of learning much more about logic formulation, and I think I will be recommending them na to play. Surprisingly, JC De Leon is also my student, very silent student. Hindi siya masyadong nakikipag-collaborate with the classmates. Lagi nga siyang binubuli, yun na natatandaan ko
May subject ako nahihirapan yung about sa mga electronics talaga, hardware. Mahina talaga ako doon Kaya, ayun, parang lagi ako tinutulungan madalas ang iba doon. Tapos yung software, programming, doon ako nag-e-excel. Hindi lang naman sa games lang lagi. Siyempre may natututunan rin ako sa mga ganun. Marami na rin akong experience sa League of Legends since 2 or 3 seasons na ata. Challenger po ako sa lahat ng seasons na yun. Tapos marami na rin po ako napasukan na team, may mga sponsored teams, may mga manager, mga ganon.
It is now the right time na bigyan natin ng chance yung mga estudyante natin na mag-excel, hindi lang academically. Ang pinaka na nito example is JC. Na talagang estudyante ko siya, pero I haven't heard him collaborating with other students or other classmates. Pero ito, na siya yung parang pinaka-powerful pala doon sa team nila, then I can say, it's really a chance.
Kahit pa paano naman, may mga nakaka-recognize rin ng mga, kahit pa paano, mga talents ko, ganun. Kahit di naman ganun karami, may mga parts naman nag-excel ako, tas ayun, syempre, masaya ka talaga kung napapansin ng ibang tao yung ganun sa'yo.
Mas masaya ako dahil top 4 sila, tapos running na sila para mag-top 1. And I understand, Mr. Fabroa is in thesis last semester. Mr. JC is in OJT. Para magampanan nila yung parehong aspeto na yun, feeling ko they are really, they deserve this. Para ngayon pa lang kami talaga pwedeng mas makilala sa ibang field. Hindi lang sa academic. Naniniwala ako mananalo sila. And I will be going to pray for them. And the whole community in Technological University of the Philippines.
TUP carrying the support from his school. I mean, that video was really nice. Thank you so much for TUP for having us there, and to add to that, wow, the support that the organization gives to TUP moving into the semifinals. I gotta say, I like how things are going so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I gotta agree with her advisor actually. TUP definitely deserves this. As she mentioned, it just goes to show that you don't necessarily need to sacrifice your studies as much to really become a great player. And players such as Acedia and Chan exemplify that. Like she mentioned, Chan is in the midst of his thesis right now. Acedia himself, he's actually in like she mentioned, he's actually in OJT right now. But even during the previous semester, like he's just so focused on his studies. Like he, having worked with him in the past, he never compensates his studies for practice sessions, and that's really, really admirable and a value I respect, especially considering the fact that given that, plus the fact that he's still on top of his game as one of the best top laners in the LCL, grabe. It says a lot, man.
Says a lot, not to mention for his discipline moving into the semifinals and also practicing with his team, because what all these top 4 teams reached is because of practice, dedication, and discipline. And also the support coming from their own community, and TUP will be facing up UC in the first match. And I hope that UC is pretty much ready, because looking at Acedia's record, it's more like he has this much experience compared to Mob, in a way that he's been across over his finest. He had sponsors, he had managers. Can Mob keep up to par with his type of caliber?
Well, you know, that's a very interesting question that you brought up right there, because I mean, despite the fact that, sure, you could say that mechanically Mob might be able to go head-to-head with Acedia, but then again, like you mentioned, experience is such a huge component as well, that even I myself, when I scout players for teams, sometimes people think that just that they're in Challenger, it automatically means that they have a great chance at actually making it to the team. But what actually happens is that even though, despite no matter how great you are in terms of solo individual ranking, it doesn't always translate to actually working in the team environment. So that's something that's gonna really, we'll have to see later on for both Mom and Acedia.
Molded by their teamwork. Also, it's not about, it's actually a team sport like basketball, in a way that you cannot be this one-man army to take on 5 members in the Rift. So, to our viewers out there, who are you rooting for? We are live in gaming.youtube.com/phgarena/live. Also, our Facebook, like, check our Facebook page. You know what it is. You've been following it. And, my God, semifinals right now. This will be the last day of the semifinals. And moving on to finals, who do you think has what it takes?
Oh man, oh man, oh man. I mean, first of all, it's just such a huge accomplishment in itself to have made the top 4. But then again, I still gotta, personally for me, I still gotta go with what I've been saying earlier, like the Metro East, Metro West teams being, it's such a huge advantage because there's so many competitive teams as is within the Metro Manila area, so they get tons and tons of experience from that. But then again, like I mentioned, you still can't discount the fact that teams such as UC and JBL have made it this far, especially JBL, because having beaten one of the top teams from the previous split, University of Iloilo, that's a huge thing. So it just says so much as to how strong they are as a team as of the current season. But yeah, I mean, if I had to put on my money on one team, probably either TUP or UPD. But then again, it's very hard to tell because it's so unpredictable.
We did see in the interconference series where the top seeds actually got overthrown by the 2nd or the 3rd seed. So this is anyone's game, entering a new battlefield. And for UC, I hope they are ready to face against the UP.
Definitely.
And I think they are. They've showed themselves and they've made it this far. And I've personally went to Baguio and I've also talked to one of the players. And I gotta say, they are pretty happy with it. They feel this pride. They have what it takes to call themselves a semi-pro league player. I mean, this is the LCL, a semi-pro league, and they've earned that title. And not to mention, moving on to the top 4 is already a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, and prepared indeed. I know for a fact that University of Cordelia is prepared, but looks like the action is about to begin.
That's right. Game 1 of match 1. TUP versus University of Cordilleras. Let's get straight on to the Rift.
Oh man, there we go, there we go. Of course, ladies and gents, from wherever you're watching, be sure to root for who you want to see proceed to the finals in this first matchup for the day. Do you want Technological University of the Philippines, or is it going to be University of Cordilleras that you're rooting for?
Very interesting matchup. Let's get straight on to the Rift.
Oh man.
Man, you have to prepare these level 1 ganks in a way that invasion can happen, or will the team just play out safe, just guard their own territory?
I know, and yeah, looks like both sides are going to play it a little bit more defensive. You know, these are very crucial matches. The smallest mistake could mean the biggest difference as to making it or breaking it to making it to the finals. And yeah, I mean, we're not going to be seeing any heavy offensive invades just yet. I mean, both teams, they're just kind of gouging out each other. I really like how that's a strategic element right now for game one for both sides. And yeah, I mean, looking at where both jungle sides are starting, it's actually going to be Chan starting off at the lower side. So I actually like this pathing from Technological University of the Philippines because, like I mentioned, Chan and Asidia do have that synergy from playing with each other even outside of the LCL in the semi-pro scene. Group of Silver's finest. So this will actually be a great transition if you could actually get an early gank for Asidia.
And I also like that Cry did play this Nunu twice.
Oh yeah.
So when you're seeing a Nunu, you have to expect that he will always, majority of the time, will have that smite advantage because he does have the chop, the eating, the devour, and also his secondary smite. So when it comes to objective contests, you see it does have the upper hand.
Definitely. And you know, with that Nunu, this is one of the great things about the Nunu. Because of that consume, it grants him so much sustain in that jungle that he could easily go for a very clean sweep. If anything, one of the things I'm expecting from Cry is he might actually just power farm within the earlier phases of the game, because there's not really as much you could do as a Nunu in the jungle within the early first 6 minutes. I mean, like the first 10 minutes of the game, pre-level 6 basically, as opposed to Sejuani. Especially with that rework, there's just so many options that you could do. That Mob, this is the tricky part here. Mob running a Rumble, there's this heavy tendency that when you're Rumble, because of the Flame Spitter, you tend to push the lane even unintentionally because you're trying to get as much farm as you can. So yeah, I mean, he really has to make sure that he balances out this, manages this wave carefully, because if not, he'll become very, very susceptible to a Sejuani gang.
Yeah, if he overpushes or overextends too deep, expect that when Asidia is on a fizz, he has this huge gap closer. Do not be fooled that he does not have a flash ready. Having an ignite ready, he does have the kill pressure. And seeing how Chan is rotating toward the top lane, we can expect that he might be looking for some blood or just seeing the scenes.
Oh yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Good
clutch ward.
Good precaution there by Mob. Especially, this is very textbook. 3 minutes into the game, you definitely have to get your vision on, because past the 3-minute mark is actually when you could start expecting jungle camps, because that's technically optimally when junglers start getting what camps they need before transitioning into gank. But yeah,
and here it comes. Got what they need, and now looking for the first blood. He's in trouble. He does ghost away.
Ooh, that was Chan's range was a little bit too far there. But yeah, I mean, well, that just goes to show how much of a threat Sejuani is with this rework, you know, because before she was a little bit more slower, but because of those great reworks on, she's definitely much more powerful, I'd say. But yeah, we've been
there comes the duel. Oh, that is what I was talking about. The kill pressure on the ignite secures Asidia's first blood.
Well, I guess from that 1v1, we could definitely say that Asidia might actually, you know, he won that small little battle right there, proving that. I mean, we were wondering whether it's gonna be Asidia or Mob. So there you have it, folks.
For the first blood, he did get the first. For the first blood wise, it goes to Asidia, and wow, I gotta say, when you give a first blood to a player of that caliber this early in the game, that Rumble Mob will have a hard time.
Definitely.
And when Asidia starts snowballing, expect that he will make some teleport plays, really pressuring the enemy.
I really love that early take from Cry here, because like I mentioned, it's either as a Nunu you're gonna go for these heavy power farms, or yeah, there you go. Because of that consume, because of the true damage that it deals, it makes it for an easier Drake take, a very sneaky Drake take, not to mention. So good on UC, good on Cry actually, really knowing how to maximize that champion. And because like we've been talking about how Asidia and Chan are some of the more powerful forces on TUP. Looking at University of the Cordilleras, players that I really love watching for their team is number 1, of course, Cry. If anything, he's been one of the more consistent members in my opinion, along with Akinos and Hong. Akinos and Hong, one of my favorite plot lanes actually for the LCL right now. So we'll just have to see how both sides having these powerful players, would it actually transition into them carrying the game, or will things be shaken up? Because like based on these picks so far, Asidia and Chan running a Fizz and Sejuani, very great picks as of this patch. And same goes for Akinos. Saya, I mean, has been explosive even in the PGS as of recent. Marky from Team Manila Eagles actually proving that.
Oh no, Kissy, got a warrior lane. There's the heal from Baam for the speed boost, but here comes Cry for the counter gank. Chan changes his mind, backing away from Cry.
Definitely, although Kissy is somewhat low on mana. So
Oh,
looks like it'll be
Burn Frost spot.
Oh,
That's a bit too close of a call for Chan.
definitely. You know, Chan, he has to put in a little bit more respect for Crying Keys right there, because technically, even though he has a great passive in form of Sejuani's passive right there, but then again, he still hasn't built his optimal item, so he really needs to restrain himself in a way until such time he gets his first item to grant him a little bit more tankiness to sustain those fights. Especially since, if you're gonna look at it, he actually bought a cloth armor. So, especially when you're up against Cry and PC, those are more AP damage oriented champions. So, you have to be careful. He has to really take note of those type of damage that's going in.
Ooh, and very interesting to see that Cry did pick up 2 long swords. So he might be going for that aggressive jungle path and to secure objectives. But what happened in the top lane? Asidia got his second kill onto
Man,
Mob.
That's not ideal for Mob at all, because this is I'm having flashbacks of the PGS game yesterday, wherein the Rumble had a very tricky time in the early phase. So, but then again, what's interesting here is that Asidia with that 2-0. This is something UC has to look out for, because it makes him all the more stronger. This will definitely make him confident transitioning into the mid game, because he knows that he has that power. He knows that he has that early lead. Not to mention the CS difference, 56 to 23 is absolutely insane. Look at the gold. Not to mention.
Oh, Chan though stealing his red buff, but here comes Kissy for the response. That Frost Armor passive is something you should respect.
Definitely. And yeah, I mean, good on Sean right there. A lot of proactivity, getting that red buff from Cry. So this will definitely slow Cry a little bit. But then again, like I mentioned, that is a Nunu that consumes, really makes the difference as far as his pathing. Doesn't really affect him overall. But then again, losing that buff is somewhat just a small roadblock.
And interesting to see that Hong is on a Bard. Sort of a burst type of support, but he has to make this heavy, really good roams to the mid lane. I mean, knowing that Asidia is like 2 kills above Mob, and having a Sheen and a Dami Cinder, that's still bad news for Mob. I mean, let's look at that itemization. Defensive and an offensive. Great mix of balance. What does Mob have? Not even close to his gold efficiency.
Definitely. I really like, if you notice the positioning of Chan, he really knows to what extent he could extend himself to not get caught up by vision coming from the creep wave itself. So this definitely goes to show just how he is and just how much of his experience competing with Majestic Casual in Piltover's Finest actually translates to great things for him coming into the LCL.
Yeah, when Asidia has his lead in the top lane, expect when Chan makes a rotation to either mid or to the bottom lane, when the Drake is live, UC has to be prepared. I mean, phasing of a 2-0 Fizz and also a player with that much experience, I wonder how Mob can fight back.
Definitely. And you know what's interesting though is, even though TUP is definitely off to a great start, well technically I wouldn't say all of TUP, particularly Asidia. That being said though, you really couldn't discount UC. I feel like they're going to be much more explosive going into the mid game, because like you mentioned, they put in a lot of practice into it. And I know for a fact that they've been looking for scrims. At one point, like they even try to take like even pro teams, and that's great practice for them. And if they could learn from those experience and all that practice that they put into it for the past few weeks, then they definitely still, TUP can't discount them.
And for that practice, I think Asidia still is pretty much dominating the top lane with a 79 CS lead on top of 2 kills. And then Jitabe was complete for Mob to fight against that Sheen. And I really like how Mob is really having this reactive itemization. But will it be enough? Look at Asidia roaming inside the blue side. Price spots him, and Kissy tries to respond to him based on heavy Price. There's the heat from Poison really melting his health down. The ghost is there, but the flash is faster. Bam! Secures the kill.
Oh man, Bam is deep, but looks like
here
Cry.
comes Absolute Zero. Bam gets slowed down. Here comes the chase from Mob. Here comes Chan. Cry overcommits. He flashes away. He still gets taken down. Here comes the Temper Fate, but does not affect Asidia. Mob is in trouble. Gets silenced down. Here comes the Magical Journey. Asidia joins him in. He gets stunned to the wall. He flashes out. Here comes Chan for the knockoff and the Flame to secure the kill.
Oh man, TUP was definitely on top there. University of Puerto Rico area is kind of somewhat over ambitious by continuing the chase. In a way, I mean, it was already a bad thing that Kisi was down by then. So, but sure, they were able to get the kill on the bomb, but at what cost? Look at all the casualties that happened as a result. 1, 2, 3, that's not exactly the best trade right here. And looks like, as a result, TUP will be transitioning this into a objective, the Infernal Drake to be exact.
The Infernal Drake does go to TUP, and that is a very important one. Here comes the counterplay. Flash burned by Misa, and over the wall, does support Acidia out of that team fight.
Definitely. And, you know, University of the Cordilleras, they definitely need to play it a little bit more slower, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and check out what happened here, by the way. Bomb against Kisi here in this 1v1. Very interesting. And even though Kisi gets the ultimate onto Bomb right there, because of the heavier consistency with the Cassiopeia, it's more consistent with the damage. Those Twin Fangs definitely did their work along with the poison. So, Cry, actually a great chase here, tries to get the maximized absolute zero here. But Bomb at this point, you know, actually gets taken down by Mob. Great on him for the flash. But then again, using that summoner spell, but ultimately dying, that's actually not the most ideal situation for Hong. Actually, Hong particularly dying there. So actually, they end up sacrificing Hong for that 1 kill.
Yeah, that's what happens when a top laner like Acidia has 2 kills, a first blood, and Acidia's lead of 84 to 55. When you start a skirmish in the Riverside, that is just bad news. Why would you do that knowing that Acidia does have this good lead, the start he needs? With Snowball, Ruby Crystal, and alongside might go for the finish, transitioning to, let's say, Trinity Force. Mob does have his work cut out, picking up 2 cloth armors. Very okay item, maybe going for the Arm Seeker's Guard. But that's not going to be enough. He's a bit too delayed. 60 CS on top of that.
And looking at the tricky part here is because Acidia actually has this great start, 60% kill participation. If you're going to look at it, none of the members of UC could actually afford doing a 1v1 with him so far. That being said, you have to be very, very careful. Like I mentioned, they have to play it a little bit more patiently. Wait for the optimal time when they transition into the mid game, because this composition that they have is definitely it's definitely much more explosive going into these clashes here. Get a great equalizer, get a great absolute zero. There's definitely a clear combo here. So they just have to wait for that right moment.
Oh no, the counterplay is in play. Here comes the equalizer on the river side, top deep in the turret. There comes the retaliation from UC. Fending up the members of TUP. Tempered Fate is on to Navi. He does flash away from the start, leaving Akinos straight to hit. Here comes the Feather Storm. Navi 10B gets taken down by Akinos.
There we go. Akinos finally showing and flexing some muscle here, as expected from one of the prime players here for University of
wow,
Cordillera.
look at the damage coming from the Flame Spitter, and here comes Chan to the rescue. Mom is very low. The Permafrost stacks onto Cry. He is gonna go down, maybe up for a double kill for Acidia.
Oh man, that's so tricky right there. But you know, the unfortunate thing here for Cry is if you're gonna look at the those 2 absolute zeros that we've seen, where he tries to deal the optimal damage, I feel like he tends to cancel it half a second too early, which is why it's such a shame, because that small difference in damage would actually have made the biggest difference as to potentially taking down Acidia and even potentially taking down Bomb earlier.
Now what happened there? I mean, going to the early phase of the game, you give first blood to Acidia, a player of that caliber, and then you still make this reckless gameplay. Give me a first turret also, that is 650 gold. A huge bonus for Acidia. So Mob made this mistake of giving a lead, and then members of UC didn't slow down. They knew they had this deficit of a gold, but they still went for it. They still went forward, fast forward, and that is how they burn. And in my opinion, UC's case right now, they have to be a bit more patient, have more restraint. That discipline needs to show right now, or else it will cost them their first game.
Definitely, indeed, and especially at 7-2 right now. Again, I mean, they could definitely afford a few deaths, but when you have these deaths focusing particularly on the top laner for a TUP, that actually solves problems, because you actually, when going into these clashes, you have to deal with the threat of all that power due to that difference. I mean, look, 5 out of 7 for Acidia, definitely crazy right there. So we'll just have to see how this transitions though. I gotta say though, Akinos might actually be the saving grace here because so far he's actually been doing pretty well against Navi. Not only did he get that one kill, but also the CS difference, 20 CS difference. Doesn't seem as big, but still, it's a small thing that could actually potentially get University of the Cordilleras back on track later on.
Yes, it would be Akinos carrying the flag this time, and also the potential for UC to bounce back from that really bad start in the top lane, moving on to the first turret also. But at this point of the game, I can pretty much say that when Cry picked up the Nunu, they were going for the slow-paced game where they will secure objectives. But here it comes, Tempered Wave will not connect to any members of TUP. Here comes Chan for the perfect stun. Kissy is very low. Chan takes him down. Here comes the teleport. Asidia is there. Akinos pops that Feather Storm, flashing away too. And the Equalizer is there. But where is the damage? Akinos stacking those feathers up, but no response from Cry yet. There is Bam in the vicinity. They will be forced to back away.
Oh man, Mob a little bit too late for the party there. If anything, I feel like it would have been much more ideal if he was the one that preempted an earlier teleport. But that being said, if you're gonna look at it, it's actually tricky because there wasn't any ward that could have potentially given Mob great positioning in a teleport. There was just no room for him to do that. So let's go and check it out here. So Asidia with actually a great proactive teleport here. He actually gets the first in, and as a result actually deters University of the Cordilleras at this point. Hong ultimately succumbs to that double kill, going to Chan right there. So it's actually very, very good. So TUP actually a step ahead, a step faster than University of the Cordilleras.
Every time UC tries to fight back, TUP does have 2 steps ahead. And as I said before, slow it down. They have a huge deficit so far. I mean, losing the first turret, now probably the Mountain Drake. UC did get the Rift Herald, but can they use it effectively? Knowing that Asidia is all over the map for that pressure. However, they will be trading off the Mountain Drake for this mid lane power turret.
Definitely. And yeah, I mean, looking at, again, of course, at the end of the day, Akinos could potentially, well, what's tricky here is that not only does not only does University of the Cordilleras need to be more decisive, I feel like given the composition that they have, they should start finding opportunities to be a bit more proactive in catching TUP off guard themselves. And of course, this could be established by, of course, number one, establishing great vision across the map, some level of control, and try to find members of TUP that you could actually pick up, which also ultimately requires figuring out where members of TUP are across the map. Of course, ultimately vision is key.
Also show some restraint when you are going to dive TUP with that lead, and that's what happened in the bottom lane. They did not see Chan coming. Why? No vision was placed. Why go ham when the map is pretty much dark and in control for TUP?
If anything, this is very interesting for TUP at this point. They actually have a great start here. And like I mentioned, technically, if you're going to look at the clash potential for University of the Cordilleras, if they layer on all their ults properly, it would be absolutely explosive. But because of the lead that TUP has right now, they can't really get in, they couldn't really find their footing in these clashes because TUP is just so dominant on this stage.
Cry, he just stole that Skull Crab, but here comes Navi in the scene with Chan really forcing out his flash. Also for Bam, that is 2 summoners down for TUP. That is an important flash, so when the clash does happen, Kissy will have an easier time setting up a really good shockwave.
So there we go. It's definitely up to UC at this point, although one thing here is, okay, so here's the thing. I really like UC. They're really trying to fend off this mid lane turret pick, because if TUP secures this objective, it'll only grant them all the more opportunity to establish more control across the map. And Asidi actually going for a split here.
I mean, when you have that much of a lead and 3 you would go for a split, but this is a bad spot for TUP. A narrow path is a happy path for a Rumble. Chan does get a permafrost onto Akinos, but he's still not fighting back. He is gonna go ham, but here comes Akinos, still trying to fight Asidia. Asidia is just too slippery.
Oh man, that was actually interesting. The funny thing there is that if you're gonna look at it, when you're fighting in such a close quarters place, technically both sides benefit from it, but considering the kit of the University of the Cordilleras' composition, that's actually a position where they could have tried. But because of how behind they are right now, they couldn't really play around that strength that they have. Imagine fighting close quarters with absolute zero equalizer, but it looks like you might actually see it.
Oh, Cry not backing down. There is the setup from Kissing. Secure kill in the exchange for Cry's life. There is the Temper Fade, connects up to Bam. That'll be an easy stun. Will it land? And yes, it does. Kissing is now shielding his allies. Still going for a kill, but there's that Lulu. You cannot burst an enemy champion when a Lulu is there, also with fresh ultimates up.
In all fairness to University of Cordilleras, although they did lose Cry, they did get Navi as a consolation. Whether or not it actually contributes to getting them back into this game, unfortunately not just yet. So let's go and check out what transpired here though. This is what I'm talking about here. They're actually fighting in an optimal position where in such close quarters, they could have utilized it. But here we go. If you're going to look at it, the equalizer was expended earlier and it wasn't layered off with an absolute zero. So this is the tricky part here. You really need coordination to utilize the composition that University of the Cordilleras has. Coordination as well as great positioning. But because that didn't really happen, they were actually quite separated. The point of this composition wherein you could layer all these ultimates together is actually pretty much moot, as demonstrated in that clash there.
Oh man, that clash was pretty much messy, but TUP still came out on top. They, however, got at least some sort of control though. And also for Aseria, Sunfire and a 24, he's pretty much set for a really extended team fight. And also for Mob, he did pick up the Sonias, finally a defensive item.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, it looks like University of Cordillera is finally starting to group together. We'll try to see if they can make things happen. In all fairness though, they were able, with this, at least the great thing here is that they were able to take down the mid lane turret. So that grants them a little bit more flexibility with control, because the great thing about mid here is that it's a little bit more balanced as opposed to if you just push the outer lane turret in top or bot. But at this point with the Baron up, they have to be very, very crucial. They have to be very, very much on point with the Vision Warriors, especially towards the upper side of the map. Because that Baron, if he takes that, it's going to make this all the more decisive for them.
And with a score of 11-3 and a gold lead of, wow, 32,000. That's a huge deficit. And all that gold is onto Acidia. The top lane that TUP has, when he starts snowballing, he will pressure all the lanes. And we are seeing the results right now. TUP knocking on the doors. Bam eats the Temper Fade again. Cry setting up the absolute zero. Here comes the equalizer for the combo. Shot is there, but here comes the Petrifying Gaze on the two members. But Acidia is just too strong. He has that burst from that fist. Akinos forced out the flash. Their members are very low, but Akinos cannot commit because Acidia is there getting the double kill.
Oh man, it looks like Acidia actually not done yet. Trying to see if he could seek more blood here, but that's two members of University of the Cordilleras down. Oh no.
That was such a good time for Akinos to clean up the fight, but it was just so difficult knowing that Acidia is there and still they're going at it. But look at that. Acidia gives the shutdown and the bounty to UC.
And you know what the tricky part here is that if you're going to look at how that clash went for University of the Cordilleras, they were actually, that was actually a better clash for them. I really liked how finally they were able to utilize, this is where their composition thrives. So let's go and check out the replay. Perfect actually. So a great tempered state there from the Bard, because it actually allows them a good setup. Try actually finally gets the optimal damage, the full absolute zero. But the problem here is that even though they actually performed really good in this clash, because of the fact that TUP is quite ahead, the damage isn't as sufficient to take down members of TUP as fast. And considering the damage output that they could have had, how explosive it would have been if they were, like you mentioned, they have to be patient. And if they were a bit more patient, they would have actually been much more up to par with TUP. But again, it all goes back to the lead that TUP has right now, that the damage isn't. Technically, if they were head-to-head, the damage would have been so much more heavier. But because of that lead, it was pretty moot.
And was that a good position for UC? Yes, it was.
It was, definitely.
It was the moment that UC was looking for. What lacked was the protection for Akinos. You're on a Bard, it's very hard to protect your ADC. You have to heal in the stun, but that won't be enough. And knowing that a Fizz with a playful Trickster, that's just gonna bypass all the CC that you want to place on Acidia.
There you go. Oh, Chando, look at this. TUP, so much confidence roaming in the jungle of University of the Cordilleras right now. So I don't know, man. This is definitely looking great for TUP right now. Although I gotta commend University of Cordilleras. They're slowly trying to find ways to get back into this game. But with that gold, look at the gold difference, almost leaning towards 7,000 to 8,000. So that's definitely pretty huge right now. And UC really needs to be patient and trying to get small victories to get back into this game, because full 5v5s, as seen, even though their composition is technically explosive, where they're at right now in terms of level, in terms of the lead, it's definitely showing TUP. And the Baron though, oh no.
Baron goes to TUP. Uncontested. Cry did try taking the Baron, but it was too late. There were no visions in the key objective spots of the map.
I love that timing of the Glacial Prison right there, because that small window where Cry could have actually flash consumed, very well timed by Chan right there.
So Baron plays up. TUP does have the advantage so far in the first game of the best of 5 series. I mean, so far the win conditions for UC, in a way that there was a checklist. Checklist was, do not let Asadia get a huge lead. That was not checked. X. When that was X, the succeeding checklist for UC's win conditions all went out of the window. Like, just crumple the paper, throw it out, because of the lead that Asadia had, Akinos cannot even catch a break. He has to stack those feathers, but how can he stack it? Knowing that Asadia will always be breathing down his back, always going for that really high priority target of UC.
And you know what's tricky here is that you can't really blame it on Mob. Sure, Mob in the 1v1. I mean, the skill matchup we've definitely seen transpire in the early phase of the game. But that being said, University of Cordilleras should have been a little bit more proactive. Sure, Cry is on the move. Technically, he couldn't really do much as ganks, but technically you don't even need to go for kills. As long as you have that pressure to scare Asadia from being overly confident in this lane, that would have been enough. But even that wasn't evident from University of the Cordilleras. It's those small things. You have to remember that kills might not be happening. That's the composition you have. Technically, early game, you won't be able to get as much kills, but just the pressure in itself would have been enough. And that was somewhat lacking from University of Cordilleras early game.
Asadia goes in deep. There is his own spot, but Mob does have the scrap shield to survive just for now. Leaving the mid lane exposed. It's taken out, and here comes the clash from Chan with the help of Bam's Burst with the Cassiopeia. Members of UC just got picked off one by one, scattered around the map, and there you have it, a double kill for Bam. And look at that play style coming from TUP.
Definitely. Wow. TUP definitely coming at it, and this might actually be the game with 3 members of University of Cordilleras down. It looks like Absolute Zero was actually used by Cry in the base.
Oh man, this is the best of 5 series. Let's hope that UC is still in the running to enter the finals of the LCL. This is just the first match on the first game. TUP, a good start.
Man, that was pretty good for Technological University of the Philippines. It's a great start indeed, but then again, this was somewhat expected from TUP. They got their, not just the win conditions of the composition, but generally the win conditions of what makes them a strong team. They got Asadia going, and at the same time, you know, University of the Cordilleras, though, what's interesting about this is that they could actually learn from this first game. If they could make the necessarily adjustments that they need to do, like I mentioned, pressure would have been key to not grant Asadia that confidence in the lane. Like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be kills, just the pressure itself is enough. That being said, University of the Cordilleras, I say, still can make a comeback. We did see earlier, Akinos actually did great against Navi in the bot side. So maybe what we could see here is that a little bit of pressure to help Mob a bit, relieve that pressure from Asadia in the top lane, and try to get Akinos going in the earlier phase.
But look at that. If I had to choose the MVP of this game, obviously it goes to Asadia. Look at that KDA 10-1, and look at the damage dealt because of the lead he had in the top lane. Other members of UC, they were scared, and Akinos, it just goes to show he can't position himself when there is the slippery fizz breathing down his neck. And congratulations to TUP for a really good start entering the first match of the semi-finals.
But of course, all is not lost just yet. When we come back, will we see University of Cordilleras finally make that comeback to make this a 1-1?
It is a test of endurance. This is the best of 5 challenge. What you know, you just watched the semi-finals of the Lenovo LCL 2017 Spring Term. We'll be back after a short break. We have been your shoutcasters. I am Vulcan, and joining with me is Arctic. See you guys after a short break. Would go for split, but this is a bad spot for TUP. A narrow pass is a happy pass for a Rumble. Chan does get a permafrost onto Akinos, but he's still not fighting back. He is gonna go ham, but here comes Akinos, still trying to fight Acidia. Acidia is just too slippery. But never fit again, trying setting up the absolute zero. Here comes the equalizer for the combo. Chan is there, but here comes the friendly fire engage on the 2 members. But Acidia is just too strong. He has that burst from that fist. Akinos forced at the flat. Their members are very low, but Akinos cannot commit because Acidia is there getting the double kill.
Oh man,
Mid lane exposed and staying out, and here comes the flash from Chad with the help of Bam's burst with the Cascadia. Members of UC just picked off one by one, scattered around the map, and there you have it, a double kill for Bam, and look at that game style coming from UC. Oh man, this is the best of 5 series. Let's hope that UC is still in the running to enter the finals of the LCL. This is just the first match on the first game. TUP, a good start.
Not enough Garena shells to buy the latest League of Legends skin? On sale now? Get shells anytime, anywhere with your Globe or Touch mobile number. Go to gamer.com.ph and sign up with your mobile number and enter the verification code you will receive via SMS. Log in and choose the game and pin you want. Check out to purchase the pin with your load or through your postpaid account and receive the pin on your phone instantly. Never miss a sale on your favorite League of Legends skins and champions with Gamer.